Hey, friends, welcome back to the Call to Lead podcast, where in this week's episode, we're going to be sharing another story from one of our founding partner mentors. So, you're going to love meeting Jess Lindstrom today. She has been such a blessing to me in the last few years in my business, and she continues just to guide me in her peace in the Lord and in the beautiful servant heart that she has for leadership and helping others along the way. And so, you're going to love her story, and I can't wait to share more. So, let's dive into this week's episode. Are you dreaming of making a long-term income and impact beyond your own efforts, but feel like you're struggling to replicate your results? I'm Heather, a former burned out boutique owner turned top network marketing leader, and I've learned the hard way that you don't have to do all the things all on your own. Now, my passion is helping social sellers scale their business by choosing faith over fear and using simple, duplicatable systems without having to sell your soul to social media. I'm so excited to share with you simple tips, tricks, and tools to help you take your business to the next level. In each episode, I'll share faith-focused wisdom, proven systems that your team can duplicate, and inspiring stories from other leaders who have been right where you are today. Are you ready to grow your team, find joy and fulfillment, and feel free? Break out your favorite pen and notebook, and let's dive in. Okay, yay. Well, Jess, I am so excited to be able to share more about your story for those that don't know you. And some will and some won't, but that's the cool thing about a podcast is we get to kind of share stories and maybe even get to know some things that I might not have even known about you because even though we go way back as sideline leaders, you reached the top of the company that we were with prior. So we were like sideline sisters with like the best mama ever. And so I got to watch us like kind of grow together in leadership and even in faith. Like we've had some really, really cool faith conversations along the way. And
Yeah.
so you've done such amazing things. It's such a blessing and a total God thing that you are a part of Restore, let alone a part of one of our founding partner mentors. So thank you for being here and sharing your story today.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Thanks, Heather.
Yes, and I love for those watching on YouTube, she's got this, like, cool chic because dresses are a cool girl, like, she's she's, like she's so, like, stylish and sophisticated and fun, so if you're watching her, she just looks, like, very it's, like, out of a magazine photo shoot. Um, but tell us, for people who don't know you or don't know your story, guide us through, like, the backstory, like, before you even got into direct sales, like, your background in, beauty and all of that good stuff, and then how you are here today.
Yeah, okay. So I was a hairstylist. So I've always loved, like, that always fed my souls to turn those girls around in the mirror and just you can see the joy on their face and their confidence grow. I love that, which is funny because I've never been a huge like beauty person myself, but I loved helping women feel beautiful. And I always wanted to keep myself like professional and look good. I actually taught you that in cosmetology school to always present yourself well. So I was always into that, but I wasn't like a huge makeup lover. So I kind of found the opportunity when I was a hairstylist to kind of introduce another beauty product to people, and it just made sense and it fit. And I am a busy mom. Whenever I found my first company, I had two kids and I was also a hairstylist and working Saturdays. And so my husband would be on the worship team all day Sunday, and on Saturdays I was gone. And so we kind of decided that I was going to stop working on Saturdays, which is one of the biggest days as a hairdresser, but it was the right decision for our family. So this opportunity with this other company just was really, really helpful. I didn't expect anything out of it, to be truly honest. I had experiences that I didn't love in the past with network marketing because there's so many different ways to do that. And I think that's really important to understand that if you have seen it done a certain way before and you didn't like it or it didn't connect with you, that's not a reason to count it out because there's honestly a million ways to do it. And it's very individual to who you are, what your goals are, and your values and your principles. And so I think it's important to let that guide you and not what you have seen in the past. Just a little side note. I have 4 kids. We do a hybrid schooling program. So that means they're in school 3 days a week. And then I have them home 2 days a week, ages 12, 8, 5, and 2. And so we're super, super busy around here. We just moved into a rental. And so we're kind of getting used to like having some life changes like that. And I'm just going to tell you that the flexibility and the openness of having a type of position where you can be with your family, you can homeschool if you want, it's really invaluable. I honestly, whenever our other company ended, I had a couple job opportunities present themselves to me, and they like even called me and asked me to do this position. And I set up an interview and I was like adding up the numbers and I'm like, they would have to pay me X amount for this amount of hours for the same amount of hours that I am putting into my other company. So it just did not make sense. Anyway, sorry, I'm gonna get hung up on that. But anyways, busy mom, 4 kids, be homeschool-ish. And yeah, we're headed out to some land, Lord willing. We want to have some animals and kind of do the homestead life, kind of wanting to downsize and simplify our lives. And that's kind of been our motto for the last year is just kind of simplify and slow down and just go where the Lord is leading us. Yeah.
Oh, that is so beautiful and so inspiring. And I know easier said than done as you're experiencing in the midst of the transition. But I love that you kind of spoke to the heart of people who are some kind of beauty professional, whether it's a hairstylist or, esthetician, makeup artist, and the beauty of this business model. Cause I feel like, first of all, you guys get hit up by everyone, right? Like
Mm.
I'm sure you got pitched like time and time again in your chair. And it can be so easy, I think, number one, to brush off the business model in general. But you're right. It's like it's all in how you do it. And obviously, like you would want to recommend products, whether it's direct sales or not, that your clients are going to love. And so if you do find something that you think they would love or that you love, it's like a natural fit. And you may as well get paid for it. But I also do see sometimes that beauty professionals, hairstylists in particular, can kind of get lost in that mindset of like the hourly wage. If you know that if you go on a Saturday and you do someone's hair highlights for, several hours, like you're going to make X amount. And it doesn't always quite work that way in network marketing because the potential is so much more. Like you plant the seeds, the connection, even if you spend an hour doing a makeover on someone that may or may not purchase, like you might have just made a new friend or a new connection that they may not buy, but you might have a new friend, or they may become your next top leader to then bring tens of thousands of volume to your business just by doing that, that 1 hour's worth of work. So I love that you kind of spoke directly to the heart, and you are one of actually the few actual beauty professionals
Mm.
background in our founding partner mentors. So I think it's important to speak to the heart of that. So any other advice for hairstylists or makeup artists and things like that that are trying to balance, even if it's not restore, with doing their day-to-day roles, is that?
Yeah, for sure. Like you mentioned, we do get hit up a lot because we have so many interactions with people and they see that and they know that is a plus. So take that into account for yourself and also know that you already, like you said, have a voice. They trust you because you're doing their hair, facials, whatever, and you're recommending products to them. And so it's important to find something that you really believe in and you really, really love. So find a product that you really, really love and that you love using yourself. And it just comes naturally. It's not like a forced thing at all. And typically, depending on the company that you choose or what you choose to sell, a lot of times your clientele is already using something like that. So for me, it was makeup. They were already using makeup, or they had makeup struggles, or they just like if you're an esthetician, they have skin struggles and they're coming to you for skin help, or your hairdresser, and they trust you to give them the best products. So it can be so natural. I had so many people come up to me and thank me for the way that I ran my business because we did it different. Our team like did it different. And I think that anyone can do it different. So just be selective about what company you choose, the products that you choose, believe in them, and let it come naturally to you.
Oh, that's such good advice. Well, as we get into the story of how Restore actually came to be for us, I feel like I should tell one of the stories where we first kind of foundationally connected. I mean, we of course had met and, I guess done some things together, but I'll never forget coming back from one of our conferences. We were on an airplane and seated like maybe 3 or 4 rows apart. And like serendipitously, I was able to like switch to sit with you and one of your teamies. And I just remember like that conversation. That was like one of the quickest 4 hour flights, because I think it was like one of those 4 hour flights that I feel like I've ever been on, because we just like connected. And I think a lot of that was through like, our faith and just trying to balance that in business. And so I'll never forget that moment. We've had others, but like that was just such a really cool way that's like, be on the lookout for things around you, for those conversations and opportunities to connect with someone, because you just never know how it can develop in the future. And I'm just so glad that I said yes to like switching, however we made that
Yeah.
work. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
no.
That was awesome.
Well, let's like circle back around to, because you were not on my team. We were sidelines. So we obviously stayed kind of connected, but we were in the same company, obviously in a similar situation of, well, if you want to talk about kind of where your heart was even prior to that announcement, share as much as you want to, but bring us up to date of how in the world it came to be that you got involved with Restore.
Yeah. So I had been a part of this other network marketing company for almost 7 years. And I quickly want to just talk about even expectations with that. When I started, I didn't have any expectations. So going into a company, sometimes you can just go into it and you just feel the Lord leading you. At the time, we didn't really need extra money. I thought I didn't need any friends. I thought I was great. Like, but I was like at the time really just in the mom mode and also still a hairdresser and stuff. I had zero expectations, but like probably a month in, I realized how much I did need it. Like this was something else that was just for me. And that's not selfish. That's not a bad thing. Like, I remember I was sitting in the car with my husband and he was like, "Oh, but do you really need to?" And I started crying and I didn't even know where it came from. And I was like, I don't think I even realized how much this is like affecting me. And in the best way, I'm starting to see like that I can do things that I never thought that I could do. It's pushing me in the most beautiful way and encouraging me to grow in the most beautiful way. And so you don't feel like you have to have tons of expectations going into something, especially if you feel the Lord calling you and it keeps coming up on your heart. But I was in this company and I don't know, within a few years, kind of stepped into a leadership role without even really pushing really hard. I took it really organically because I didn't really know what I was even capable of or what this kind of business model was capable of. And so I went kind of slow and really worked on building relationships and serving how I felt comfortable serving and presenting things how I felt like I should be presenting things, still challenging myself, not dipping out of doing hard things, but in a way that aligned with my spirit. And so got up to a pretty exciting leadership part. And the cool thing is sometimes you can start a business and you might not even need the money, might not think that you need the friends, but the Lord knows where your life is going. Like he sees your whole timeline, right? And he knew I did need the friends. I met my gonna get like emotional. My very, very best friend, we connected through this, and she is like my sister, and I would not be able to do life without her. My family is in Pennsylvania, and then I have my in laws here. My husband's only child, so we don't have a lot of family, and I live in Missouri and they're like our family and they would do anything for us and I would do anything for them. And I met her through this company. She was like the second person to join me in this company. So the Lord knew. I didn't even like honestly realize that until this moment, which is why I'm getting emotional. And then we didn't even need the money at the time. But like the Lord saw that my husband owns his business and he's doing great. But owning your own business has ups and downs, you know? And so it was such a huge blessing financially throughout those ups and downs. So only the Lord knows. So, like I said, follow the promptings of your heart. But this last year, I felt like I should be like pulling back. I was just not feeling like I should be serving the big team anymore. I wanted to serve like my close people. I think that comes from like my love for the close relationships. And I don't know, it was just a weird thing. And honestly, I was kind of frustrated about it and I was a little bit mad about it. Like I felt like there was something wrong with me, but it was all God's protection and kind of protecting my heart and preparing me for what was coming. In July, that company decided to go to the affiliate model, which my pretty much my whole business was built up on relationships. And I was never like a huge top seller. I just really loved people. I do love people. And so the Lord kind of like was pulling me away. And I had heard from all these other people that were like within our leadership community that we had. And I hadn't heard from Heather. And I was like, oh, I wonder how Heather's doing. I was concerned. Like, I was like, I haven't heard from Heather. And so I sent her a message. And then she told me about what she was dreaming up in her brainchild and baby. And I was like, man, like, what the heck? We didn't even know, right? We didn't know what was going on at that point. What it was going to
No.
be, but I knew that I wanted to be a part of it because I love and respect Heather and I know her heart is in the right place. And business wise, she's one of the smartest business women that I've ever known. So there is so much trust there. And really, wherever she was going, I wanted to follow. And so we had some crazy calls with all the girls and like dreaming up products and all these things, stuff that I'll never forget. But that's how long way around how I came to Restore.
Oh my gosh, I love that story so much. And yeah, that was such a crazy season of just trying to figure out like what we all were going to do, and everybody was kind of going different places. And I knew in starting this I didn't want to be the one to try to convince anyone else what to do. And I certainly never ever wanted to call someone away from what they felt called to do or felt led to do. And so I was so grateful for like those serendipitous like God led moments of like taking the time to think about me and like how I might be doing, and then being even open to hearing at that point just the inklings of what we envisioned. Because I remember when we did the retreat, we've talked about this a couple of times on some of these calls, like the retreat in well, I say retreat. We got together in Charleston. And so you couldn't be there in person, but you hopped on virtually. And I remember being like, guess what, Jess? We're doing makeup. like, like all of those things. And you stayed for hours on Zoom. And it was really cool because even though you couldn't be physically present, which is challenging when you live in Ozark, Missouri, right? All the time,
Yeah.
kids and
Right.
his own business and all of the things. It's not always easy to do that, but like the impact that you've had on it from the beginning has been truly invaluable. And I just love your spirit. So I'm grateful. And it's all from him. That's the thing is like with everybody that's a founding partner mentor, but like in this journey, it's like you can just see where he was connecting the dots along the way, even if it took us years to bring us to where we are today. So I love it
Yeah.
so much. So now let's kind of get into some of the questions about specifically with Restore and the different values and the branch culture and all of that good stuff. But before we do that, I want to share when you filled out your founding partner mentor application and your survey, you took a test called the High Five Test. And it's if anybody wants to take it, they can go to high5test.com and I can link to it. But it gave you 5 of your top strengths, which I believe truly are, the God-given strengths that sometimes we like don't even see in ourselves because they're just more like naturally innate to who we are. But I think it's helpful for people listening to think like, oh yes, I need that or I want that. And so your 5 were coach, empathizer, believer, catalyst, and self-believer. So
Mm.
in reviewing those, do you remember those? And do you feel like they're a good reflection of who the Lord made you to be as a leader?
Mm. I feel like that is who the Lord has made me to be. And you just like reading those off. I feel like sometimes it's so easy to not see those things in ourselves. And it's, it's just, I thank you for sharing that because it's a really good reminder, like, of who God created me to be. And no matter how I'm feeling in a certain moment or in a certain day, that doesn't change. Like who God created me to be doesn't change. And there are responsibilities that come with those things and so many joys. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Love it. I think that life in general is, I think the Lord is just refining us to shape us to be more of who we were created to be. And, He's got a specific purpose in mind for how we can serve his kingdom. And so it's like, anyways, like, these aren't used to, to put you in a box or, to define others or even like leverage them. It's truly just, like you said, to kind of learn more about those unique things that you just think are normal. They're not.
Yeah.
Like, especially like empathizer role and the coach. I mean, like those are things that are vitally important when you're connecting with and building a team. So it's no surprise that you've been able to have the success that you have, even if you weren't like striving for that, because
Yeah.
have those natural giftings. And I think that's exactly why you're the perfect fit for this role in particular. So my next question is, if you had to pick one of our core values, which I know this is a tough question, but if you had to pick one of them, is there one that resonates with you more than another?
I love all of them, of course. But the one that always has, like, because I thought about this a lot, and it's just the biblical principles, because all of those things are great things. But if we don't have the biblical principles and that foundation, then it's just another great thing. But having the biblical principles in it makes it a God thing. And having that from the start and the root of the company sets it apart. And that's what the Lord asks us to be, is to be, we're supposed to be in the world. So we have all these other great things, but to be also set apart. And so that means so much to me. And I love that.
Oh man, I know. I agree, because any book you read, any good personal development podcast you listen to, like if it works and is effective, it's rooted in the word. Like almost always. I had a friend that was just sharing that her husband was reading like a financial book that's written by a secular author, but he's like it's making it more clear than ever that like money is from him, all things are from him, and like this secular author trying to like outline the principles of earning and making money, it's like it's right in the biblical wisdom if you just like look for it and you follow those principles. And so that's what's cool, and why I feel like, again, I feel like they're not even my idea of like putting together these values. But that one, even if someone's not a believer, it's like if you want the roadmap on how to do life well, it's all right there in the word. And
Mm.
so I love that you touched on that. So good. So next up, you mentioned being rooted obviously in the biblical wisdom and in those, foundational core values. And then from that is how we grow. So instead of being the top down pyramid scheme that people are used to with network marketing or kind of envision, we want to flip it and hopefully elevate the industry because of that, because it truly is meant to be a rooted, more solid foundation approach with deep and wide roots through you guys that then help the rest of the field grow and flourish by sharing our products with the customers, which of course are the fruit and the flowers of the tree. But each one,
Right.
the tree is going to look very organic. And you talked about like your past experiences. It was like an organic way of doing it. And that's the best way to do it. And so they're all going to look a little different. So what do you feel like will could be some of the defining elements that would be unique to your branch with Restore?
I feel like whether I like it or not, whether anybody likes it or not, the Lord will always be in the conversation and a huge part of it, because I am done with trying to separate the two, because I have done that before. I've tried to separate the two, and I just can't do that. So that's one thing. Also, I really want to know your story. Like, because that makes all the difference, knowing where you're coming from, why you have certain goals. And I think it's important that you know that too. It's important that you know why you are doing something and why you have certain goals, and to kind of get deeper like that. I'm not good at small talk. I dive right in with some deep stuff typically. And so I really truly want to know each of you as a person. And so I think that foundationally is going to kind of change how things are. And then we will go from there. There's always going to be great systems available. There's always going to be great trainings available, because we have such an incredible family here of leaders. And so that's kind of goes without saying. But yeah, I think that's kind of just the basics of it.
I love that. Yeah, that is the key to success in any kind of, well, in life really, but in any kind of business is deeper connections. And I think that sometimes people try to skip through that. And the fact that like you envision that to be a foundational element to connect deeper through the stories is so important because the stories are what sets you apart. The good, the bad. I was actually talking to another friend this week who was sharing she used to hold back the hard parts of her story or even like kind of
Mhm.
embellish or, kind of like just make it look fluffier when it wasn't until she fully embraced, first of all, even the ugly parts of her past, but then also fully embraced her faith and how the Lord was the savior that rescued her out of that hard time and that darkness, that things just transformed for her. And I think
Mhm.
you're exactly right that it's, our foundation of faith isn't trying to tell someone else what they should believe, but being unapologetic about how in the world we've gotten to where we are now because it's not on our own. Right?
Right.
I love that. So, kind of on that note, too, who, like, if you had to describe your dream teamie or for somebody listening, for them to be like, oh, wait, that's sorry. Yeah, just kidding. But who
Mm.
do you
Yeah.
envision, like, if you had to describe some of the ideal traits of your dream partner or advocate?
Hmm. So I think it's really easy to say, and it's the smart thing to say. I want someone who is really goal oriented, knows what they want, really hard worker, has all these hours in the week to work. That's the smart thing to say. But really, I want the woman, because this was me, who feels the Lord kind of leading them in a direction and leading them towards me, not because I'm better than anyone else, not because I can even give you something that someone else can. I think that you just know in your spirit, like, sorry, I get like real. I told you I can't leave the Lord out of it. But so from that, I would love women who have a yearning inside of them. They feel like they're being called to something more. They know that the Lord has put something in their heart. They know that God has a huge plan and purpose for them, but they're not sure what that looks like because I had that. I have that. I have this like desire inside of me and this like burning ball of fire, I feel like inside of me that I have full of anticipation for what the Lord has for me. And even though I'm taking these steps and I'm walking day by day, I still don't know what that looks like. I can have my own goals and dream. And so that's you too. I want that person who feels that and they want more and they might feel underqualified. They might feel like they're not the smartest person in the room. They might feel like I've never done this before, or I've done this before and I failed, or I'm too busy. Guys, I have four crazy, okay, my friends call them spirited children, spirited children who I like homeschool and I'm wrapped up in it. But there's a way to be wrapped up in it and to love on your family and still there's still things that God has called you to do and put inside of you, and so that's what I'm looking for.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. And I know that's got to feel so inspiring because, people I think that we naturally compare ourselves to others. And I think that people can assume like that they don't have what it takes, but it's not what do they say? The Lord doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. And so I
Mm.
think that people listening, and that's not going to be everyone, and that's fine. That's a good thing. We each have our own purpose. But I think people who are listening, they kind of know when they're like, I mean, if they're still listening at this point, right? They're like, "Ah, that's me. That's me." And so I
Yeah.
just love that that was you, and you were able to take that feeling and no expectation, no like big goals, and and then turn that into like, "Oh wow, actually this could be something amazing." And oh wait, maybe I could share this to help somebody else do it. And then oh wait, now years later, like here I am at this leadership level where I'm fulfilled, not just financially, but from the blessing of like you said, new best friends even in your life. Like that's how it's done, and it doesn't take having it all together, and you certainly don't have to be a hairstylist or a beauty professional or anything like that to make it happen, but the fact that you had that foundational, I guess, humility, to take on this calling when it even didn't make sense, not just with Restore, but, with the business model in general. I think that's so inspiring, so I love those words. Beautiful.
Mm.
So, lastly, let's chat products for a second. So, I would love
Okay.
I have one question that is a secret, and we'll get to that in a minute, but first of all, I would love to know of when you've been kind of playing around with some of the products and trying things out, what is the one that you, if you had to pick, was what gives you the most excitement or that you're most excited for?
I love the elixir. I know it's a popular answer, but it is fantastic. It is lightweight, but so hydrating and nourishing to the skin. So even if you've never used skincare before, even if you've never used any kind of oil before or serum before, you're going to love it and your skin will love it. But it's also for people who really, really are into like skincare and I've used some really high end oils and things like that. And this is right there. It's right there with it, if not better, because it's light. So you're not gonna, I didn't have any like side effects. I put it on my kids sometimes when they have like a boo-boo. Anyway, we're not gonna get all that. But I love that. So that's my number one. I do love this is kind of random. Yeah, but the Lifton bronze. I love it. I don't know why. It's like the consistency of it is just like so buttery and it blends so beautifully. But I also love the warmth that is in all of the shades as well. I love that.
Those are such good questions. And actually, I don't think because I love like being able to kind of share little tidbits through obviously the podcast. And one of the things that I don't think we've talked about was thanks to you. And of course, I hear my puppies. I don't know what they're excited about over there, but this is thanks to you. And that is the addition of a beautiful ingredient called lavendox in the elixir that is a natural wrinkle inhibitor because we want it. Well, first of all, like you said, you want it to be safe enough to put on your kids, right? And not like have to have all these active kind of scary ingredients because it's got looking at the ingredient listing, marula oil, argan oil, melaleuca oil, lavender oil in it, frankincense, some really, really cool stuff going on in there. But this lavendox, do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Because that was, you had a huge hand in helping to include something like that in this elixir.
Yeah, I just figured why not? Why not throw something in there that could help with wrinkles? Because I'm 38 years old and I know that's where my mind is right now. So if I'm going to be putting something on my face, I want it to help with that. And so Heather did a little digging and found this lavendox. And it's so awesome because who doesn't love lavender oil and smells anyway? So it's kind of, isn't it a derivative from the lavender? And yeah, it's awesome.
Yes, I was so excited and I was so grateful for our formulator when we added that request into the development of this product. It made it definitely made it better, and it's definitely one of my favorites for sure. So you'll learn more about it. There's clinical studies and all that kind of good stuff that we'll be sharing on the product details on the website. So stay tuned if you're excited for like a very natural kind of everyday elixir that's safe enough for your kids, but if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, it's good as a natural wrinkle proven clinically proven wrinkle inhibitor. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question. This is a surprise one, but I would love to learn more about one of our cheek lips is specifically named. We are naming all of the shade colors after grandma names. And so
Mhm.
one of them is called Shirley. And I'd
Oh,
love to know from your perspective, she's your grandmother, and I would love to learn more about her as a person and why she's special to you.
oh, Heather, that's so cool. We call her Nanan, and she passed away about a year and a half ago. And my mom, it's my mom's mother, is an only child. And so she poured into us so much. And I come from a family, I'm the second oldest of six kids. So there's a lot going on. We didn't get a ton of like a one-on-one time, with a busy home like that. But my nan would always make it a point, like once a week to come get us individually and take us out to eat or take us shopping, or she would take us back to her house and like make us like nachos with like homemade salsa. And so her heart was just like to give, like always to give, to give, to give. Even whenever I moved to Missouri, she would like send me like $20 to like help with gas money and stuff. And it was just so sweet. And did that till she left us here. So she was a giver at heart and loved her family fiercely. And so it means so much to like have her be carried on in this way. And I can't wait. I haven't told my mom about it yet, so I can't wait to kind of share that with her. It's going to mean a lot to her too.
If you're watching on the YouTube, here she is. Here's Shirley. And the story with how she
Oh,
got added is really special too, because when we got together for our founding partner mentor retreat in November, we brought in one of my great friends, Blake, who does color analysis. And we confirmed that Jess is a cool toned winter, which is great because she can wear all her black and all the things that she
that's
can
right. Yay.
like any kind of crazy changes. But one of the things I also learned is because I thought I was cool toned as well. It turns out I'm neutral, which is great because I can wear cool, warm. Like today, I'm definitely wearing more of the cool toned shades, but we were missing something that was in that cooler toned shade range. And so we were able to put this together basically thanks to diving deeper into this together. So I'm so excited about this one. I think it's going to be amazing. And I'm grateful that it represents, I knew that it would, but I'm so grateful that it represents a beautiful woman. And I think that's like the heart behind these names is like there's a story, and I'm sure there are others listening. They're like, my last name is Shirley. She's so special
No.
under someone. So I love that. Well, Jess, this has been so amazing, and I feel like we could chat for hours. But I'm so thankful for you to share all of your heart and just your journey here and the wisdom. There's been so much gold for those who are wanting to do this business in the right way as you've done it. I would love to invite you to wrap us up in prayer for those listening.
Yeah, love that. Lord, thank you for this time. I know that each and every person who is listening right now is exactly who you want to be here. I pray that you would just be speaking to their hearts, Lord, not about business, God, but I pray that you would just be drawing them to you. I pray that you would just be encouraging them. I pray that you would just give them ears to hear you and eyes to see you, Father. Thank you so much for this time that we've had with Heather and for this company and the heart of it going forward, Jesus. We love you so much. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. That was amazing, Jess. You are so special to me. Thank you for being here.
Mm. Thank you, Heather.
Yay. Y'all have a great week.
Yay.
I'm so grateful for your time with me today. Feel free to check out heatherkburge.com for all the scoop on all the things. Also, I've got a huge favor. If you found any value from today's episode, would you mind leaving me a quick review? Or even better, share with a friend by clicking those 3 little dots at the bottom of your screen. Sending you big hugs.